Yes. Good morning and welcome to this unique live discussion. And we are going to have very interesting discussion today on the topic related to opportunities in structural engineering for young structural engineers. Yes. Good morning, Gaurav. So, so what we did, we announced this event in a social media before 1 week, and in fact, we received a huge response from the participants, and we requested participants to register in advance, and then we also requested them to suggest few points for the discussion. And in fact, we have received more than 800 plus points uh, related to say opportunities in structural engineering. So it's a huge response. So let us thank every participant for sharing their views on it. Yes, good morning, Ravi Sharma. Good morning, Vivek. Good morning, Milan. And so definitely we will be planning this kind of a live discussion frequently, looking to your response. Yes, good morning, Imran. Good morning, Viren. So now what we are going to do in this today's session, that when we have scrutinized those 800 points, and then we have tried to shortlist the points considering let us say the point which is repeating maximum numbers of times. So those are the points which we have covered, which we'll be talking in today's session. Okay. Yes. Good morning, Ravi. Good morning, Vivek. Yes. Good morning, Avinash. Okay. So I'll just request you if you can mention your educational qualification, and also you can mention your point of discussion related to opportunities in structural engineering for young structural engineers. Okay. So let us welcome our panelists today. So I'll add them one by one. Okay, so let us welcome Olavo Carvalho from Goa. He is a consulting civil engineers at A Olavo Carvalho. Okay, let's welcome Suhas Mujumdar. He is from ASI Consultants, Vadodara. Okay, yes. Let us welcome Kamal Parekh. He is from Shri Sarjan Technocrats Private Limited. Okay, let us welcome Anil Shah is from K
Hi.
Shah Consulting Engineers LLP. Hi.
Hi.
And let us welcome Hiren Desai. He's from Sai Consultants, Surat. And myself,
Hello.
Bhavin Shah from SQVe Consultants. So once again, welcome you all for this interesting live discussion related to opportunities in structural engineering for young structural engineers. And I was just briefing the audience just before 2 minutes that we received, in fact, a huge response when we announced it in the social media. So before we get into any conversation, let me tell you, in my corporate journey, I was always used to say that the civil engineering is the mother of all engineering because it is one of the oldest branch of engineering. I was also used to say that the civil engineering is everywhere. And I was also making this statement that the civil engineering is vast area. And what I have experienced in my short journey, that each branch of civil engineering is having the same characteristics. So we can also say that the structural engineering is everywhere. Structural engineering is also a vast area. So by saying that, I believe that there are ample opportunities in the field of structural engineering. So in a today's short conversation, of course, it will happen that we may not be able to focus on the entire spectrum of the opportunities which are available in the structural engineering, but we will definitely focus on certain part of the let us say the opportunities which are available in structural engineering. And what we have done essentially that based on the responses whatever we have received from the participants so far, so from that we have shortlisted the points which are repeating in the nature. So we will discuss those points, right?
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So let us begin our conversation, and I'll go to allow for this. See, this is the interesting point we received. That can you give very quick advice to our young engineers? So before you speak about this point, I'll request you to share a little bit information about your company, like what kind of services you are providing. I think that would be of great help. to the audience to understand like what broad spectrum is available in structural engineering. So over to you, Olavo.
Yeah. Hello. Welcome to this session, and thanks, Berwin, for calling upon me to be part of this panel. I'm Olavo Carvalho. I have a structural practice since 1985, and I graduated in 82 from Bombay University. Now, I will tell you one thing. You need not have a background of your parents being there or something like that. I started, my parents were teachers, and I started a practice in civil engineering, in structural engineering. So be sure that you can do it. Anybody with a strong civil engineering background can be a good structural engineer as long as he is focused on his work. So basically, civil engineering gives you, I mean, the number of subjects that are there, each subject you can start a consultancy in any subject you want. So you could be a structural engineer, your quantity surveyor, a project management person, survey, valuations, surveying, etc. There is no bar on this, or a combination of that of all. But you should be very focused on a single subject, a good subject that you are really interested in. I would strongly advise you to work under a senior engineer for at least 5 to 6 years, 5 to 7 years, and not do hopping from one engineer to another. You will not learn much. Stay focused, learn, read books, and purchase books. See, I know every book is available on the net, but reading from a textbook makes a huge difference. So buy good books and read them. Be focused on the Indian standards. You cannot go other than without the Indian standards. Another thing, have a peer group and learn from each other. Another very important thing, see, we are all human. We can all make mistakes. In case you have made a mistake, you can always consult a senior engineer, and I'm sure anybody will help you. Always keep your client in the loop, which is very important. Don't try to hide things because there's nothing that you can do by hiding. Thank you. Yeah, Bhavin.
Yes, thanks a lot. Now another question, see what we have received, that I want to know scope in a structural engineering as a subject in a master's degree, because I am going to choose that only. And I will also want to know various fields in structural engineering. So Suhas, can you throw some light on this, that what are kind of different verticals which are available in a structural engineering? And before that, yeah, your mic is muted. Yeah.
My mic is not muted.
Now it is okay.
Okay. Good morning, all of you, young structural designers, engineers, and thanking Bhavin Bhai to gather all this thing on one platform. This is very good thing, which was absent in our era when we were a young engineer like you. It was not like this. Nobody was supported like this. Media was absent and all these things. Let me come to the main point. Uh, I have a structural designing firm, ASI consultant, since 1991. I did my BE, ME in MS University, Vadodara. So it is very good university which taught me very fundamental of civil engineers and everything. I had very good teachers who taught me and make me enlightened in the civil engineering subject. Civil engineering is very vast subject. If you see, everywhere there is civil engineering. Nobody can put any step, any production, anything except civil engineering, right? So civil engineering has a specialized branch like structural designing, hydraulics, environment, road, railway, everything. But the major part, like Amitabh Bachchan, 1 to 10 is Amitabh Bachchan, and from 11 everybody is counted. Like that, structural designing is within 1 to 10. All everywhere there is structural designing, because see, without a proper designing, you cannot enter into any civil space. So I have shortlisted a lot of directions from where you can work. See, we are a core structural designing firm, but we are also catering our services for giving bill of quantities, tendering, detail engineering, everything, which is required things to structural designer. Means structural designer cannot say that I will only deal with courses. It has to cater services like giving bill of quantity, the PMCs, site checkings, cross checking of the enforcement and everything. Means it is not a job sitting in a office only. So as you move more, you will learn more. Your staff will move more on the site. They will learn more from the site because site is ultimately what we wanted to develop. So I suggest everybody to visit a site oftenly. Means you keep your 30% time on site and 70% on your table. That's what my calculation is. I have shortlisted nearly 51 verticals where structural designer can make anyone or few of them as a career, like suppose chimney. So if you work for chimney, your whole life will enoughly spend on this subject. So I am giving you very shortly few of subjects. uh, First, uh, basic from basic housing to medium rise buildings. There is a very big slot of medium rise building in urban development. There are less a slot of high rise building and very less place of skyscrapers. You can make anything as your career. You can go for skyscraper, you can go for high rise, you can go for medium rise or low rise or basic housing. This is the fundamental what you are all are perceiving while doing your BE or ME. But there are other than this, there are a lot of subjects where we can work. Like suppose you move from urban to industrial park. So industrial park has a lot of opportunities where you will be the master of all the process. You will be the one of the best team leader. Other than you, there will not be any step on the field. Like if there is a godown structure, if there is a shade like structure where under that state the process industry is working. Then there is a technological structures. Technological structure means there is a hollow steel structure where where various equipments are mounted to develop some production, like chemical industry, pharmaceutical industry, or any another industry where the process is important. According to its gravity, flow, and need of the placement of that equipment, you will have to design the technological structure, which is from 0 meter to 60 meter, 70 meter is very common, right? So this technological structure is very important and very much possible, means there is a wide scope in this line. Another thing is pipe racks. Pipe racks are the like veins in the industry. Like blood is flowing, the pipes are very important. Where you need to design as a pipe rack designer, it is very good line to spend the life. Then tank pumps. So every and any industry needs to store some liquid or some things like in tank pumps. So tank pumps are also a specialized design thing. Then the chimneys. Chimneys are of two types, steel and RCC. Both chimneys are nowadays environmentally needed. If you want to get any product approval to GPCP, he will suggest you to cast a chimney from 30 meter to 100 meter or 150 meter as per the norms. So chimney is also one of the good direction. Then a kiln. There are some process where kiln is necessary. The kiln's length may be 60 meter, 70 meter, which is not fixedly supported. It is rotated in air with some guide supports. So it is also a specialized subject. Then you can go for silos. Silos are very huge storage material storage device structure. It may be at ground level, it may be at some height, it may be of RCC, it may be of steel structure. The silo designs are also a specific design. When you take out the material from silos, there should not be any dynamic effect which fail the structure. So silos are also important. There are bunkers where the military hideouts are prepared. The bunkers are specifically designed for dynamic load or blast load. Then shell structure, the ornamental shell structure like Baham Lotus Temple at Delhi, sort of structures. They are also specialized structure. If you are spending your life in shell structures, there are enough work in this direction throughout the life. Then there are some low cycle equipments which are needed a specialized design for fatigue and all these things. Then some reactors, like a pharmaceutical company needs some reactors which are low cycle, and some dairy equipments, dairy like Sugam Dairy or Amul Dairy needs a low cycle or high cycle reactors and movement equipment structures. Then there are turbines in the power plants, coal power plant, nuclear power plant. There are different type of designs which is needed to be designed by the structural designer, like turbines, heavy duty fans, and all these things are a part of design of power plants. So cooling towers are also one of the important structure which has to be addressed in structural designing line. Then uh, looking towards the foundation, yes, only foundation. If you are in soil also, in addition to structural designing, you can opt for the foundation designs. There are heavy duty machine foundations, heavy duty foundations, forging foundations, where anvil is kept on RCC, and there is heavy load, dynamic load is coming in 1 minute, 35 blows of 2 ton, like heavy foundations, which the size of heavy foundations may be up to 3-story building underneath the foundation, the soil. So these are the heavy foundations. Then you can go for the chemical radiation buildings. Nowadays, if you are doing some X-ray or hospital buildings, you need to design the radiation buildings also. Then there are conveyor belts, there are cranes designs. These are also a part of steel structures and other structures. So these are the basic. Other than this, the institutional building need a specialized job. The hotel buildings, the heavy uh, some blast-proof designs are also a new direction, where nowadays the terrorist activities are suspected in some important buildings like parliamentary building or some high-rise building. You need to design that building with the blast-proof uh, designs. Some fire resistance buildings are also important. Then railways, hangars, airport hangars, river training work. There are some gabions to restrict the water flow inside the some places. So these are all new directions which are open out like anything for all structural designers. There are very n number of, I have calculated 50 ones. You can also opt for nuclear power plant, but yeah, there are very less opportunity. But if you are very smart in calculation, and you can opt for that, yes, the sky is a limit, and world is a global village. So it is not restricted to your town or your village where you only serve the people. You can now, from communication media, you can serve from here to anywhere. Like we have designed different uh, country structures like Dubai, Kuwait, Kuru, Calabar, all from here. We can do that thing. We have also designed some electrical substation is also needed. The electrical line also have a very much scope for structural designers, like electrical substation, control room, transformer foundations, lightning arresters, gantries. Uh, Other than this, The microwave towers are also new directions. Even hoarding should be designed by a structural designer. Some skeleton structures are also very much in boom. You can also design water retaining structures, earth retaining structures, environmental means pollution treatment structures, the windmills also one of the good directions. Bridges and dam you cannot opt means you cannot put aside a bridges and dams also hydraulic structures. There are all small and big hydraulic structures need structural designing. So these are all. Even you can go for design of temporary structures in exhibitions and all that thing. We have designed 2011 a vibrant Gujarat in Gandhinagar. So the building which is right now in existence were designed by us in temporary structure. We have designed similar structure, same as you are looking right now. We have designed all this structure in steel structure for temporary, just for 10 days. So this is also a structural designer's job. So we have also designed Swarnim Gujarat and Vibrant Gujarat structures, which are designed for just 8 to 10 days or something like this. So exhibition structures are also a wide range where you can work. So there are n number of things where you can opt for. As the science is developing, as the needs are developing, the humankind also need a specialized designers for each and everything. So budding engineers, you can absorb yourself anywhere. There is a vast branch. You can welcome in this branch. Uh, Thank you. Fine, bye.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Suhas bhai. So I think the list will go on, right? If you were like that, right?
Right.
Yeah, but that's what our about our profession is. It's a indeed very vast area, right? See, another question which was repeating is what are the options of starting a startup for structural engineers? So I'll go to Kamal bhai for this question.
Friends,
Yeah.
as far as concerned with the profession as a structural designer, now I think now responsibility lies with a new generation to take care of structural safety and stability. And as the question is, what are the options for starting a startup for structural engineers? I think uh, after getting graduation or post graduation from the education institute, let's try to join a structural engineering firm. The reason is with that firm, the basic related to structural modeling, structural analysis, structural design, its detailing, and its actual execution on site. Because being a structural engineer, we are abide by the law, by the National Building Code, by the GDCR, by the local authorities, and all of those. We have to follow that codal provisions. So, if any of the new budding engineer who wants to start his career as a structural designer should join any of the structural designing firm, should learn all these basic analysis, designing, modeling, detailing, and with it, the site experience is required. That many of the time, what happens, being a structural designer, we model the structure, we analyze the structure, we detail the structure. But at the time of actual execution, the placement of reinforcement, what we are providing with our structural design in detail, shall get executed in the way and the manner in which the structural designer has modeled it. In the another way, the second thing, what I'm observing is after getting that experience and that work span of around 5 to 6 years, as Olavo has already mentioned, let's make a group of a like-minded professional friends a senior one and a junior one. Let's have a exchange of ideas, the methodology, the idealization of structures, and all others. Let's have an exchange of knowledge. And one more thing, I believe is let's be bullish. Let's be bullish for sharing your knowledge, your technology, your experience with each other. Let's try to learn from your senior consultant. Not only that, simultaneously, any of the new budding engineers requires a good library. A good library in terms of the good books, softwares, and I am requesting with my experience that a structural consultant office should have a good library, and you can make it on shareware basis also, because many of the books, they are very expensive. One is IS codes, the national building codes, the GDCR, everything you require at each and every moment to refer. And it's a circumstances. Let's make a sharing of all these documents, because each and every time I'm not referring always the 13920 or 1893 or 456. And many of the times the amendments are made. At that time, you need to interact with your friends, with your colleagues, with your professor friends, just to understand, just to interpret, and just to properly implement the codal provisions which you are abide by. I think for the startup, if anybody starts with all other, the important thing is required, in my opinion, is hard work. मजदूरी करने की ताकत, जब तक स्ट्रक्चर इंजीनियरिंग फील्ड में रहना है, जीना है, जनरेट करनी पड़ेगी. And for that, the patience is required, because in a day or so, you may not get each and everything what you expect from the society, from your profession, but it will come definitely. Let's have a patience for it. I think if any of the new budding structural engineer begins with, will be a good initiative, and I think it may take around 4 or 5 years to get established in the field, to get the repeated clients. I think preliminary this briefing is enough for my new budding structural engineer friends. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kamal bhai. Okay, so now this is also the repeating questions, like what are the skills generally required to become the structural engineer, and what are the skills which are required, or which company is looking when recruiting the structural engineer. So can I go to Anil Shah for this? Yeah, your mic is muted. Just a minute. Yeah, please.
Yeah, Bhavin, thanks. First of all, I should congratulate you on bringing up such a issue, or rather a point for many of the young structural engineers who are pursuing their careers. Now, regarding first of all, to give my small brief, I am a practicing structural engineer, and since last almost 23-24 years, and we are having a firm based in Ahmedabad, which is almost 45 years old, and we are specialized primarily in institutional buildings, tall buildings, industrial, and we work pan India and also outside India. So that is one part of it. Now coming back to the question which is being asked, like what are the skills required to become a structural engineer? First of all, when you get into a civil engineer, I would break it into two parts. One is when you take your civil engineering, as you know, when you go for your undergraduate degree, you select your first of all civil engineering. Now from civil engineering, in the last couple of semesters, you will be required to choose your major, whether you want to get into geotechnical, structural, or transport, whatever. So first of all, to get into a structural engineering field, you should have first of all a passion towards the mathematics, the mechanics, the behavior of the materials. You should be, always curious about learning such things, because that is going to be a day in and day out when you start, practicing as a structural engineer. Now, there is another part to it, which is, let's say, once you are graduated. Now, how do you make sure that you are a good structural engineer? Definitely, there is going to be a continuous learning process in being a good structural engineer. You will have to read a lot of books. There will be a lot of challenges every day whenever you are there to design a new building or a new project. Now, one has to be very clear about the passion part of it, because in next 30 to 40 years, till the time you are going to practice as a structural engineer, every day you are going to do WL square by 8 or WL square by 12, either directly or indirectly. Now, to have that kind of a passion, you have to have every day, a new zeal to address the same stuff. So I suggest that, to become a good structural engineer, the knowledge of mechanics, behavioral aspects, even a software skills. There are so many softwares nowadays available. So that is also very important to become a master of some of them. Then to have some architectural sense, to even understand the society needs, to understand the client's needs. These are very important aspect, to become a good structural engineer, I guess. I think that should be it, Bhavi.
Yes. 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 Thank you. Yeah, one more interesting question, which was again posted by many engineers, like how to survive as a fresher in the industry. So I would like to go to Hiren Bhai for this.
Myself, Hiren Desai, practicing as a structural engineer in Surat for last 30 years and doing all type of residential industrial buildings. To naming few, the Kiran Hospital, which is the largest hospital that has been done in Surat, has been designed by me. But these are just a brief introductions. But as far as the question is concerned, how to survive as a fresher in the industry, I think it needs a different perspective. First of all, the first question is that why we have entered into this industry. If we have entered into this industry as a structural engineer for the money, then I think this is not the industry in which you should indulge into initially. Because if you are a structural engineer, then you should be passionate about the structural engineering. And if you are passionate about the structural engineering, then the survival would not be the question, because you are always try to learn something new. You will always sharpen your skill. And once you sharpen your skill, then I think there is always a crowd at the foothills, not at the top of the mountain. So my personal view is in that the survival would not be a question. If you are very skillful in whatever you are doing, in whatever structural engineering field that you have chosen, I think you will be have an ample job and money as a byproduct, not as a primary product. And your purpose of earning will be solved, but your first purpose, professional satisfaction, will be always solved if you are passionate about the structural engineering. These are my intake, I think.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Hiren Bhai.
Yeah.
Now, this is also an interesting question which got our attention. That is post graduation mandatory to become a structural engineer. So I'd like to go to Olavo for this. If you can throw some light on this, it would be great for the audience.
I have not done my post graduation. I mean, I started my practice, as I just informed, somewhere in 82. What you need is a good structural base and an interest of keeping in touch. So I attend regularly seminars. I regularly read books. You That is what keeps me abreast of what is happening. You, as a challenge comes to you, every day is a challenge. So as a challenge comes to you, you have to refer, you have to study, you have to go back to somebody else sometimes and come out with this. But in today's time, now looking at the extent of challenges coming every day, I mean, more and more challenging situations coming. It would be good, if possible, to go do your post graduation, but it is not necessary. It is not necessary. A good structural base, a good structural engineering sense is what is required, and a belief that you can do it. That is what I would say.
Yes. Right. So continuing education is must. So even after post graduation. Right? Yes, Hiren bhai, would you like to add something on this?
Yes, definitely. It is not a prime requirement to have a master's degree, but as a secondary requirement is definitely, because in a today's scenario, to sustain in this industry, you want to have a license. In a certain situations, you need to have a post graduation. Then and then you will have a license to work in a certain area. And the second thing is to pre-qualify for the tendering purpose. Suppose there are some challenging structure and there is a pre-qualifications. Then you would, if you are very good at the structural engineering, but you are not postgraduate, then you cannot compete for that project. And last but not the least, to understand the structure, to understand the structural behavior properly, to understand the advanced topic of structural engineering, I think post graduation is must for every structural engineer who would like to enter into this field.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and we have received this interesting question, like what kind of support we may expect from the senior engineers in our profession. Let's say I am a junior structural engineer, then what kind of support we may expect from the uh, senior engineers in our profession. So I'd like to go to Suhas bhai for this. Suhas bhai, can you please respond to this point if possible? Yeah, your mic is. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes.
Basically, see, when we are studying subject as a theory, there is a basic, very wide subject. It is a generalized subject of structural designing. Uh, the structural designing is a comprises of physics, applied physics, maths, and now computer software skills. But it is not enough to become a structural designer. This is just a theory. When you need to know various in various uh, between the lines subject, various intricate aspect of the subject with the seniors. Yeah, why we say that seniors? Suppose in other branches like BCom or some banking or some another aspect, they can start work from the day one. But no, structural designer has studied the designs as a base, as a language in the college. But a designer has to study lot of things from the seniors, and it is mandatory because seniors knows that they will give you lot of skills like understanding the structure. Means mathematically you know this is 2-ton load, but when a 2-ton load on a lintel, you will feel that what is 2-ton load, whether this is right or my mathematics is wrong. So committing less mistakes, you need to learn lot of skills from seniors. Like they will make you understand the feeling of the loads, how the structure will behave, what are the assumptions we have made in structural calculation, but the actual structure is not behaving as per the assumption. Sometimes there are very different reactions we found in certain situations. There are certain processes where you need more information other than the basic structural designing. That is also known to the seniors who has gone to the path. seniors are like highways. They travel certain distances, like your Google map. Means suppose you are novice in the town, if you Google that address, you will reach directly to the address. Otherwise, it will take long time. I don't say that you always go for the seniors, but it will take long time to reach to the destination. Is it enough? I think. Fine, right?
Yes, yes, Suhas bhai. Yes. Yeah, one more question which we have received is how to get new projects for structural engineers who have just started their practice. So I'll just go to Kamal bhai for this question. If you can throw more light on this, like as a structural engineer, how to get new projects who have just started their career.
As far as concerned with a new project, even after practicing for 30 years, my experience is let's be service oriented first. Try to deliver maximum to your client, whoever may be, an individual one, a builder, or a contractor. If you try to deliver maximum and a digestible one, then definitely you have a good opportunity in the structural engineering field. One more thing is to initiate with, let's get associated with the social groups. The social group will come to know that yes, you are graduated or a postgraduate with specialization with the structural engineering. You can design a building, a bridge, a hydraulic structure, or overhead or underground tank. So let's get associated with such kind of social groups. Not only with the professional organization also. Let associate it with those professional organizations. So you come in contact with the fellow professionals, maybe a structural engineer, maybe a contractor, maybe civil engineer practicing in or working in a different field. Simultaneously, try to exchange your ideas and views regarding the structure. And one more thing is, let's be dedicated. Let's have a commitment for your profession. And for that, let's become certain attitude. Being an entrepreneur, you should generate. That is, let's be dynamic, risk taker, decisive, innovative, innovative, delicious, good mixture, and a clever talker. You try to explain your concepts, your ideas with the optimization, with the cost of construction, and with all other, with the alternative techniques, and with the latest technique. So definitely, it will fetch you a good work in the society. One more thing, keep in your mind, this is a noble profession. Structural designing is a very, very noble profession. Keep in your mind, one man having a dream to make his own house. Once in his lifespan, it is possible for him to do. And for that, the structural safety, stability, integrity, durability, the operation and maintenance cost, everything depends on a structural uh, configuration of any of the structure. Maybe a low-rise building, high-rise building, tall structure, maybe a industrial shed, a office, corporate office, or commercial buildings, whatever it may be. So, if you become a service-oriented now, then definitely you can fetch more and more work. And one more thing I have observed is if you are getting the repeated clients, then definitely one satisfied customer or one client will fetch you minimum 2 to 4 to 10 new work, new projects. If someone becomes a service oriented now, then definitely it can fetch more and more repeated jobs. One more thing is, let's become master of one. Many of the times, many of the skill required with a structural designer. But whatever may be the subject, whatever may be you are targeting, you should have a complete grip on it. You should model that structure. You should analyze those structures. You should prepare a design and detail. And one more thing I have observed with my experiences: don't try to make a drawing for a contractor. Let try to make those drawings for the fitters, those who are the real executor. If your fitter understand, digest your drawings properly, then definitely it will give you a very good result with the structural safety, stability, and integrity. So as to fetch the new work, let's concentrate on uh, government and semi-government agencies also, because they are also hiring a structural consultant, but with some basic experience and all others, it is possible. So let start your work. Let practice with the help of your co-practitioners or with your like-minded friends, and then definitely you can get more and more projects in future. And don't become a money oriented. First of all, please try to understand it's a very very noble profession, and it will give you a long lasting result after your 10 years or 15 years of commitment and a dedication with that field only. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Kamal bhai. So, Olavo, would you like to share something on this? Like what kind of support we may expect from the senior engineers in our profession?
See, I think I have one strong belief: the more you share, the more you learn. Anybody's experience, a youngster can give you much better, sometimes excellent solutions. So, and your interpretation, it's a continuous process. So basically, we need to help, and sometimes the youngsters come out with a solution which you have never thought of. Sometimes.
Yes. 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 Hiren bhai, would you like to add something to this?
The support for the senior engineer. Just I would like to add that now the people would like to have a ready-made solution from the seniors. I think
Yeah.
first they have to put a lot of effort. Then they should come to the seniors for the any solutions. The senior structural engineer are always supportive. If you are coming
Yeah.
with the preparations, they are definitely going to help you a lot. But if you
Yes.
try to go with to them and just ask for the ready-made answers, then I think it is not a proper way to approach seniors. This is just my views on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 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 Yeah, this was an interesting question. Like, is only software knowledge is adequate as a structural engineer, or something more is required? Let us say I'm a student and I'm studying. So whether I should focus only on the software, or is there something more? So let me go to Anil Shah for this. If can you throw some more light on this? Like, what else is required? Then let's say study of the software.
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting question.
Yeah.
Because, see, first of all, being a good structural engineer, the basic understanding of the behavioral aspect is absolutely important. Because, one cannot just, understand what are the results coming out of any of the softwares which you use, whether they are correct or not, unless and until you have a real depth of, the behavioral aspects of the structure, that is for sure. So, see, if you see that, let's say in the olden days, let's say about 20, 30 years back, when you see, very old structural engineers, they used to work on slide rules, I mean, they were masters in, mechanics. They could do any kind of a, manual calculations, very quickly, very quickly. Now we have, and they have designed fantastic structures. There are so many structures which have been designed with manual calculation. No doubt they have been backed by certain mathematical models as well, but the basics was always your mathematical skills and the behavioral aspects. Now, in a new generation, definitely the structural software knowledge is absolutely important, because the more complicated structures are coming up, people want solution day in and day out. A very quick solution everyone needs. And also nowadays, there are like hundreds of load cases which you may have to run through. So definitely, one cannot. There are certain restrictions in terms of manual calculations, that one cannot do it. But at the same time, you have to have a proper knack of which software you are using it. There are hundreds of softwares. Don't even try to run for learning, hundreds of them. Try to first learn, couple of them. Try to see what it is showing, because ultimately, otherwise, it is going to be garbage in and garbage out. If you don't understand, if the two columns which are nearby, and why are they giving a different reactions, then there is no point in using those softwares, unless and until you know exactly what the software is doing. So according to me, that software should be your add-on support for your time saving, even to do a very very fine-tuned engineering. There are so many things which you cannot do it manually, but the basics, definitely one has to have a very good grip on a mathematical skills, and doing and back checking it rather, because suppose when I started my career, or rather when I was studying, we were hardly knowing even Excel sheets. So, then the day came, then, we started learning the Excel sheets, and then, we moved on to n number of softwares, But at the end of the day, to come up with a basic understanding of a structural engineering, the basic mathematical skills and the behavioral aspects, and knowing the results, whether they are right or wrong, that is absolutely important. But at the same time, knowledge of any of the softwares are going to be compulsory for sure, because the way things are moving, one cannot definitely rely on a hand calculation. But at the same time, one cannot just neglect doing it by hand, because otherwise what happens, if you don't have any electricity for 8 hours, then you just cannot work as a structural engineer, because your mind will not work. So you should have that skill to at least do some mathematical skills by hand calculations, for sure. So I think these are two parts of a very good question which is being thrown.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Anil. So any quick perspective to this?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and yes, as Anil says, it is very much true. That is garbage in, garbage out.
Yes.
But let me add some more things in this.
Yes.
Software is a tool like a calculator, as he says, that you must know what is the answer and whether the answer is true or false. It may give any answer, but you must have some hand calculations, which leads to the truthness of the software output. But before this, while modeling is very important. People are doing modeling like putting the torsion zero, shear zero, putting the hinge, because they want their answer from the software. So this is not good. One has to develop a model such that it should resemble the actual behavior of the structure. Means it
Right.
should rationally interpret the physical behavior of a structure. It should not be just what you like and the software should give for submission. Like
Yes.
anybody is go on STAD and doing some this and that and giving me a good answer, but the software, the structure don't know that he has done a calculation or not. He will structure will behave actually what he has to behave.
Yes.
Rationally, we must understand the actual behavior of a structure by our fundamentals, and then we should model the software. uh, Modeling techniques are very important. And lastly, the software interpretation, the result interpretation is a key of the software. If you cannot interpret the result, you will not optimize the result and give the proper details to the client. He will just one or two my friends sheet I have seen that there is some 8 bar again with the 10 bar with the 12 bar with again 16 bar. So as previously Kamal said that your foreman should understand, the site engineer or site executive should understand that that detail, not the software given detail is okay. The software may give any detail according to mathematics, but
Yes.
we should rationalize the details and then we should give it to that. One more thing, nowadays understanding one software is a crime because softwares are also in the developing process. You can see that every year you will have some upgradation. Why you wanted to upgrade? The codes are not changing, the things are not changing. The software, why software needs upgradation? Because the softwares are not up to the mark. The any software is not enough. You must cross check the major part with another software because sometimes the hand calculation is not sufficient. So I advise the young engineers that suppose you did one project in one software, you must cross check in another software. So largely you will get some results which are resembling. So there will be very less possibility of getting errors. That's it. Thank you.
Yes. Any quick perspective from your side, Kamal bhai?
I think Anil and Bhatbudar Saab has explained many of the things. One thing that I would like to add is the software analogy. You see, what you give as an input to your software, what software understand it, how software interprets it, and how software gives you as an output. That one should understand. And for that, many of the times, many of the our senior structural engineers also, as told by Suhas bhai, try to manage with the releasing the moment or by providing a torsional coefficient to unnecessary element. And let's try to understand the behavior of structure first. Allow the structure to behave in its own way. Don't try to govern the behavior of the structure. And this is the simple theory. Just make a simple configuration. Don't make it more complicated by introducing the certain ins and outs of the softwares. And just make a simple model, simpler one will give you a good result, will fetch a structural stability and safety. So analogy of the software, one must should understand it first. And then they should model the structure and analyze the structure, I think.
Yes. Yes, Hiren bhai?
I think we should use the software judiciously in terms of that we should not use software to find out the exact solution for an approximate problem. We are
Yes.
trying to find out the exact solution to the 0.000 decimal of the approximate problem, which we don't know. We don't know the concrete thoroughly. We don't know the structural behavior properly. And we try to find out the solution, which is up to the 0.000 level. So it should not be the case, in my opinion.
Yes. Yes. You're absolutely right. Yes. So understanding of conceptual thinking is at most important, right? Okay. Now this is a question, which is coming up, like how to collect knowledge and get insights of different structural elements, analysis and design as fast as possible. So I'll go to Hiren bhai for this.
I think structural engineering is not a fast food, first
Yes.
of all.
Yes.
Yeah, as the concrete requires 7 days of curing, I think structural engineer need minimum 7 years of robust field experience to become a robust structural engineer. So there is no fast food recipe to gain the knowledge quickly. But in these fast era, I think one should be very vigilant in observant in of the different structures. If we observe the structures in the nature and the man-made structures and try to understand the behavior of it and try to model the same into the latest available software and try to understand its behavior, I think he should gain the insight into the structural behavior very quickly and fast. And the second most important point, that he should have some guru. Whenever he will have a certain tricky questions, he should be able to contact him and find a solution for it and have an insight into it. This is my intake for this question, I think.
Yes, thank you. Anil, would you like to share something on this? Yeah, your mic was muted. Just a minute.
Yeah, just
Yeah. Okay, now
yeah.
it's okay.
As Hiren Bhai already said that this is not going to work overnight. As a structural engineer, even after let's say 24 or 25 years of my practice, I do in and out, day in and day out, manual calculation, checking, rechecking, still learning the behavioral aspects. Even I feel I don't know many of the things, even as of now. So, when you say overnight, knowing each and every part of, behavioral aspect of structure is something which is very difficult to do, because it requires a lot of passion to understand the entire, field as a whole. So overnight, I think it is very very difficult. But yes, whatever you see it from your mathematical models, try to see and observe how your structure behaves in an actual form. If you have, let's say, assume that okay, my structure is going to deflect, let's say 10 mm or 12 mm for a long span structures. Try to see and do a deflection check in reality, so that is how you learn. Then you will be able to correlate what the actual structure behaves and what your mathematical model gives the answers. So there is also interaction between we as a human being with the structure in mathematical model and in actual form. So I think that will give a lot of clarity in thinking.
Yes. Any quick thoughts on this? Olavo, from your side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, basically, you have to be able to visualize the structure.
Yes.
If you cannot visualize the structure, you will not know how the structure is going to behave. Because finally, once you visualize, you will be able to see how the load is going to. Finally, it has to go to Earth. It has to go to Mother Earth, and that is the main thing. So if you cannot visualize the structure, you will not know how the whole thing is going to behave, and that's one of the. So also look at nature, look at a tree, you look at a hill, you look at something else, and you'll find a lot of solutions there. So getting visualizing, I find, is one of the most important thing, and a lot of people cannot visualize. So my first thing to any of the youngsters is please understand the structures, understand the building, see how the structure is going to look. How if you can't imagine that structure, it's very difficult to go ahead with the thing.
Yes. Yeah. Would you like to share something, Suhas Bhai, on this? Yeah. Just a minute. Your mic is muted. Yeah. Okay.
As all says, it is very true. I am just adding a cherry on the top.
Okay.
I just say that if you, Hirenbhai says that you need 7 years, and as we say that you need some, there is no royal road except the hard work. That is true. But if
Yes.
somebody wanted to get a quick this thing, quick idea, insight, then I suggest that fellow that you master on very small one type of work, like suppose a low rise. Then he has to concentrate only on low rise, and then he should not indulge everywhere. And if he work on low rise, start from the constructional practice, the actual behavior, the different element detailing, and all these things, he will quickly grab that subject. After mastering one subject, then he can move to the another subject.
Yes. Yeah, that's true, right? So should focus on one vertical, as you were telling, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That would enhance the process faster.
That will help them
Yes.
quickly.
Yes. Okay, Hiren bhai, would you like to share something on this point very quickly?
Yes. Just as one point, as a structure engineer, one should develop a habit to visit the structure which we have designed, so
Right.
that say we are not having a habit to visit the structures which we have designed 30 years back or 20 years back. If we develop a habit to see our structures and how it has performed over a period of time, that will give a lot of insight into whatever the assumptions that we have made, how we have designed it, how we have
Perfect.
detailed it. I think if we will go to our structures, then I think it is a good habit to develop, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Agree.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so this is one interesting question. Like, what are the opportunities, let us say, for a structural engineer in a remote cities where bigger projects are not coming up? So, Olavo, would you like to throw more light on this point, if possible?
Yeah. See, first and foremost, when you are in a remote place, you know what I mean. You have selected the place. You are either there or you are moved into that place. So you know what is going to be coming in that place. You can't expect a super high rise building in a small village or something of that. So a small district. So, but there is excellent scope for everywhere. First and foremost, you have to believe in yourself. I have made this statement earlier also. You have to believe in yourself that you can do it. You have to have a long-term goal. You cannot expect overnight to get all the works there. You cannot expect very big projects. So, but you have to get into small projects, slowly get into a bigger projects of that area. So you know what is the maximum that you will go to. Like even in Goa, like I cannot expect a tall building. I can expect maximum maybe 30 or 32 meters high building. Nothing beyond that. One very important thing, learn not to compromise. Whatever you say, whatever you believe in, whatever you have detailed, please do not compromise. The moment you compromise, the word goes around that this guy you can get anything from him. You have to be strong on your this. So the moment you do not compromise, in due course, you will fetch more and more work. Now, in a small area, in a rural area, or you will get projects like some residential buildings, residential houses, commercial buildings, some small industrial buildings. You will get institutional buildings. Institutional buildings could be large enough. Industrial also could be large enough. So the main focus is you would need a little longer time in a smaller area. But the moment you do not compromise, you focus on your work, you will get your work. And there is no dearth of work in any place. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Okay. Yeah, see, the next point. This was also repeated in a questions. Uh, like, what are the opportunities as an entrepreneurship in a structural engineering? Can you please request? Can you please share your views on this topic? So let me go to Suhas bhai. If possible, can you share very quick thoughts on this? Let's say entrepreneurship in structural engineering.
Unmute. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Entrepreneurship sees a structural designer has two forms. One is to work somewhere, and one is become an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur itself is a very different subject, other than only structural designing. Structural designing is a fundamental of this entrepreneurship. But when you become an entrepreneur, it slowly reduces its part from 100% to even 30-40%. Another 60% is entrepreneurship. Like you must be by characteristic an entrepreneur. Means you should have some another aspect in your nature, in your yourself. Like you should be good manager to take work from others. is very important when you become an entrepreneur. You must know how to take work from your subordinates, designers, even draftsmen, or even your peon. So it is a task when you become an entrepreneur. Another thing, you must be having some basic knowledge of accounting and laws related to accounts. Means if you want to good entrepreneur, this is the fundamental key, because when you come out as an entrepreneur, profit is only one word. Besides this noble business, you must take some profit to home, otherwise you are at zero. So you must have knowledge of account and economics. Then third is law and legal aspects. Means suppose in case if you are entrepreneur, you have to fight the little with anybody with the laws and legal aspects, with the government laws, with the laws by which you abide. Means what is your responsibilities as a designer, and what you should give, and what is your comfort zone. You should not move out of that by breaching any laws or legal aspect. Then another thing, HR, human resources are very important. A good designer may not be a good human resources fellow. Means he should know how to deal with the different people. Then marketing. Yes, there are few good persons, structural design I have seen. They are not good in marketing. So unless otherwise you market yourself, people will not know that what qualities you belongs to. So you are at zero without marketing. So another thing, there are some other aspects like discipline, the outspokenness. These all are needed in entrepreneurship. But what I suggest in new era, it is very much important that if your nature, your characteristic is not suiting all these aspects, you can form a company of 3 to 4 like-minded people. Suppose you are good at designs, somebody is good at HR, somebody is good at handling people, somebody is good. So unite all 3 4 persons and make a common firm that will help you. The single firm has a lot of limitations. When you unite to 3 or 4 people, your confidence level will be very big, very high. If somebody from you is committing any mistake, the other will compensate that thing. So that is very important. And very important nowadays is a life. If you are alone structural designer, you have to pay 100% of your life to the firm. When you are 3 4 person, you may relieve for a week from the business, or you can perform your social duties, or perform your family duties for a while if you are united by 3 4 persons. So you please gather like-minded persons who are not only a good designer but good in management, good in law, good in this thing, and you form a company. So it will be very good entrepreneurship firm, and that will fetch a lot of business, and you will flourish in a very short time, I think.
Yes, yes, Alvai. Yes, Hiren bhai, would you like to share something related to opportunities which are available in the remote cities?
I
Yeah.
think now in this computer age, nothing is impossible. I think one should not restrict to the geographical locations, because
Okay.
if you are good at anything, you can in a social media or through connections with the senior people in this metro city, you can
Mhm.
definitely get a job. So I think geography or geographical location should not be a barrier to the any person or for his better career. I think, yeah.
Yes, yes. Yes, Anil, any quick views on this from your side, like entrepreneurship in structural engineering?
Yeah, I think most of the points Suhas Bhai has already touched upon. The
Yes.
only most important part which I would like to add is the when you are an entrepreneur, you need to have the ownership of what you are doing. So the
Yeah.
ownership of the service, or rather the responsibility which comes along with it, is very important to understand, because you just cannot be casual in your approach, because as a structural engineers, your responsibility will come till the day you die. It's not like a doctor where, you will not be able to get it signed from a client that whatever mistake happens, we are not responsible. So that ownership and responsibility is very important. So before being an entrepreneur, this is very important to grill it into your head, that you have a lot of responsibility, social responsibility and moral responsibility. So that is very important.
Right. One more interesting question, which was again repeated by a number of participants, that as a freelancer, can we associate with the established structural engineering firms? So let me go to Kamal bhai for this. If you can throw some light on this, that as a freelancer, can we associate with the established structural engineering firms?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
The reason is any of the established engineering firm nowadays, with the advanced technology, the advanced methodology, the modeling techniques and all of that, they require a full-scale skill within their in-house. But besides this, certain fields like modeling of a structure, if anybody having a good modeling skill can take advantage of that skill, can model the structure for the consulting firm, that is sufficient enough for many of the senior consultant structural engineering office. Second thing is anybody having a good drafting skill. If anybody a good craftsman of a board, he can prepare good for construction drawings. Not only that, for the offices also, if anybody having a knowledge of order provisions for the structural design, detailing and all others, can check the structural drawings, those who are released for the execution. One more thing that I would like to add is site supervision, site management, scrutiny of the structural drawings. All of this requires a third eye. Even for the structural modeling also, if the office having has prepared a structural in-house model and someone else from outside as a freelancer, if you cross checks is, it happens with the now with the third party review. But if it happens now, then a new budding engineer having a good opportunity, and not only that, it will be a to and fro process for the enhancement of knowledge and all others. And I think freelancers also having a facility and opportunity. One thing is with the this COVID condition also, they work from home, and it is possible that preparation of book for construction drawing or for the structural modeling is possible with the new budding structural engineers.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Kamal bhai. Yes. See, one more interesting question which was coming up. So before we get to this, Hiren bhai, would you like to share something more on this last topic which we were discussing, like as a freelancer?
I think they have a very good opportunity as a freelancer. But the one thing that they have to understand, that they should be loyal and sincere to the firm that they are associated with,
Right.
because they are taking sometimes shortcut and they are publicizing that I have done everything about this project and I am a true structural engineer for that project. So this is the thing, as a moral, he should not do that. This is my suggestion to the freelancer, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, this question was also repeated by many participants. Like, let us say I want to pursue masters in structural engineering from abroad. Now, what are the pros and cons for the same? So let me go to Anil Shah for this. If you can share your perspective related to, let's say, pursuing masters in structural engineering from abroad.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think the question is very specific.
Yeah.
It is from abroad only. I mean, it
Yeah.
is not, from India. It looks like,
Yes. Yes. It
you
is
know,
only from abroad. Yes.
yeah, only from abroad.
Yes.
So I think there is some dimension to it.
Yes.
No doubt there are a lot of good institutions in India, but I will not get into it because the question is not meant for it. Now, suppose if someone wants to go to any of the institutions anywhere, whether it is anywhere in Europe or New Zealand or in US, definitely all these countries, definitely they are far advanced in terms of the technology, for sure. No doubt we are also catching up. Our institutions are also catching up. Our colleges are also catching up. But still, what are the little bit added advantage to it. Suppose for example, just to give a small example, from where I graduated from Texas Austin. I did my masters from there. Now I was working with, let's say, suppose Ned Burns. People read books of T.Y. Lean and Burns for the pre-stress. So, I used to work with Yirsa or, Yura. I mean, they are authorities in the courts, So the one most important advantage in, let's say, studying abroad is, first of all, you select an university which is good in the structural engineering. You should not just go to any of the university just for the heck of it, that I have been to X, Y, or Z country for my masters. If you are not getting into good university, forget it. Just do it in India. I mean, there is nothing wrong in it. Now, what is another advantage? Probably all these universities, or when you do from a masters from a good universities, they have a good R&D. They have a good research labs. They have good funding. They are like deep into research. So probably your thoughts, your probably the behavioral aspects, your it ignites your brain. It ignites a lot of structural engineering aspects in your mind, which you might have not even thought of. So that is very important advantage what I see it. Second is, the when you go do it internationally, definitely you are going to interact with a lot of international students. Suppose you may have a student from Pakistan, you may have a student from Africa, or you may have it from New Zealand along with you. So then that interaction brings you lot of value, because your knowledge base will also keep on expanding. So that is very important aspect. And also, most importantly, you will have hands on to many international codes, which in India you would have never read it, or you would have not applied it. You may read it, but then you don't know how to use it. So when you do this abroad, definitely you will come to know about lot of new codes, the application of it. And that is very important aspect. No doubt now softwares and all those things are available everywhere. So these are the dimensions which I feel is very important. The only cons which I see it is, suppose if you are, let's say, if you are going in any of the developed countries, for your masters, if you want to do or get a job there, definitely it is not as easy as it was earlier, because there are challenges for the international students. There are a lot of nationalism issues going on all over the world. It is not that you are not competent, but suppose if you are working in Europe, you have a nightmare in finding a job if you are not an EU citizen. So it's not that you are. So first of all, be mentally prepared that whenever you want to go abroad, what if you don't get absorbed? It should not feel like a taboo that if you have to come back, that you should not come back with a trauma, but then you should come up with a zeal that no, okay, I'm going to serve my country. So don't so keep these things in mind whenever you pursue your higher studies. And once you are back, then you might have lost your contact with your IS scores in those 3-4 years of your stay abroad. So that will also require some more time to get back to your own original codes. So yeah, there are pros and cons, but yeah, if you study it outside, definitely there is going to be a lot of ignition. I mean, it will ignite your mind for sure. That is what my take.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Okay, Suhas bhai, any quick thoughts on this? Yeah, yeah. You need to unmute your mic.
I think everything is covered by Anil Bhai.
Yes.
Just short notes on this. Yes, if you wanted to serve outside India, it is best that you go or master for outside. But if you are wanted to serve in India, there is a bridging gap between the study and the existence. Besides the code touch, yes, he said that you will be lost a codal touch. You will also lost a touch with the ground, means the reality of how people and what is the best practice of executing the drawings and designings. So one must be again spend some time on site after doing his masters and with the course so that he will bridge that gap. Otherwise, there is no harm in studying outside. But let me highlight the RCC using country. One of the best countries, India, and the lot of knowledge base is available in India. So, means I don't find anything that it. Yes, in some specialized cases, in skyscrapers, in high rises, you can opt for the master degree of outside. But India has competent knowledge base, I think, nowadays. This is my view.
Yeah. Yes, Suhas bhai. See, there was one more interesting question. Like, as a structural engineers, can we take up the role of a PMC? It's a project management consultancy. So let me go to Hiren bhai for this. Can you please share your quick views on this?
I think yes, definitely yes. Because I think any good structural engineer have all the qualities which is required to have a successful PMC consultant as a profession. Um, um, and I think also if you develop in-house team for not for the entire project, but even for the basic civil work, it is of a good value, because whatever you are designing, detailing using a latest software, but if it is not getting implemented on site, then it is of no use. So if you develop a team, in-house team, you can take up the job and give the value engineering to the your client, architects, and all the agencies involved in it. In a such a scenario, even the clients would be happy to give you the money as well as credit in addition to your structural engineering fees. So I think PMC for structural engineering is definitely a good avenue to explore, and definitely he can do that, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Good. Yeah, one more question. I think it is, I think we have covered it little bit about it, but the question is that what are the opportunities in the small scale projects as a structural engineer? So let me go to Olavo for this. Yeah.
There is no issues at all.
Hmm.
I mean, the moment you are a engineer, you are a structural engineer, or a engineer, you can handle any type of a project.
Hmm.
There should not be any a small scale project. There is absolutely no issues.
Hmm.
As long as your funders are clear, you're committed to your profession. Any type of a project should not be an issue. Should not be a limitation.
Yes, absolutely right. Yes, Suhas bhai, the next question is again, I think you covered it, like, but what are the opportunities in the industrial structures as a structural engineer? So I think you talked about those verticals, right? So if you
Right,
want
right.
to, yeah, want to add some quick thoughts on
Yeah.
this.
Yes, yes. In industries, other means anybody can jump into industries. Structural designers are always welcome in industries. There are two, three types of job in industries. One job is of ongoing industry has some day in day out requirement like moving one reactor to another place or another reactor on the same place or doing some small jobs and altering the existing structure or a new job, and all these things is also major part in the structural designs of a ongoing industry, because the industry is already commissioned and after 10 years or 5 years they wanted to change the process, or the process is changed, the time has developed new process, then they have to go for some changes in the existing structure. So the vast knowledge of structural design is necessary to cater such job. The another thing, for industry, you must know the process, how the process means how they are producing, what they are producing, what are the pros and cons of that production, what are the important parts, what are the hazardous part, and all these things of that industry. Means structural designing is suppose having a few weightage, but the other weightage is to understand the parent industry. Suppose it is a chemical industry. So if you are handling a hazardous chemical, then you must be aware of providing the thickness and size of the structure according to. So the importance factor will be higher. The other aspects are different. If the industry carrying a different sort of deposition, suppose ash deposition, and the platform should be designed for the future problems. Means to understand the industry for a particular process or particular product is very important. Don't jump directly to the industry. First, understand the peripheral needs. First, understand the how the industry works. First, go and visit the industry, the existing structures, how they are behaving in the loading condition and the process condition. And after this, you will understand lot of hidden part of the designs and what important care to be taken in designing such industry. So industry to industry, the knowledge base is different. Suppose electrical industry has different knowledge base, chemical industry has different knowledge base, pharmaceutical industries need are different. Their need are there should not be any deposition of dust in the industry. So there should not be any horizontal surface formed by you in the structural designing during the structural designing in such industry. So every industry has a different need other than the structural need from structural designers. Means a structural designer should cater the design, structural designs plus their needs in the process. So you can go for industry. There are vast welcoming field in the industries also.
Right. So it is required to understand the functional requirement of different industry, right? When we are working. Yeah. So Hiren, any quick thoughts on this from your side?
As rightly said, Suhas, there is a lot of opportunity. So I think it is unexplored area because we, as a structural engineer, has restricted ourselves to the buildings only. So in my opinion, there are a lot of opportunity in the industry, and one should explore it and go and dive into it. To explore these, I think some specialized knowledge is required. But in for any field, if you need to upgrade and progress in that field, the knowledge upgradation is required. So I think it's a very good field to explore. Yeah.
Right. Right. One more question in this line, that as a structural engineer, what are the opportunities related to interface with the other disciplines? So let me go to Kamal Bhai for this.
As far as concerned with structural engineering, you see, normally any of the building having services. We all aware of electricals and plumbing. Then with the majority of the commercial structures and with the corporate structures, nowadays HVAC as well as ELV is involved. Now with the specialized structures like hospital projects, it requires a MGPS, medical gas pipeline system. So being a structural designer, many of the times what we observe that all these services is the essential requirement for the functioning of the building. And for that, many of the times we need to interact with the our co-consultants, those who are specialized with the plumbing or with the electrical or with the HVAC or with the ELV and with the MTPS. The another thing involved now is with the firefighting system. So being a structural designer, we should, but with the experience only it comes. Let try to understand the requirement of each and every individual disciplines, and with that, if we plan out our structural system, basically made up of columns as well as the beams. I think those are the things and those are the disciplines. Normally, the question arises with the structural designer to compromise, and in such circumstances, if a structural designer having a knowledge of basics of this system, then definitely will help out and work out for it. The important thing, what I am observing since many years, is the foundation issues. So for that it's a specialized job for the soil exploration and the interpretation of soil exploration reports, and for the designing of the foundation systems with the raft or with the isolated one or with the combined one or with the pile foundation or all others. So being a structural engineer, we should acquainted with all these disciplines or the basics of these disciplines, and by doing it so, we can plan out and work out our structures. With the industrial structure, I think the instrumentation and automation. With the instrumentation and automations also, we require a specific gateway or the pathway within our structure itself. So I think these are the basic disciplines normally we structural engineers are facing, and rightly said by the Hiren by. If a structural concern having is a subsidiary PMC system, so definitely that can help out to synchronize the whole thing for the stability, safety, integrity, and durability of our structures. Thank
Yeah, one more interesting question we had is what are the future technologies or advancement which may bring a revolution in the structural engineering field? So let me go to Anil Shah for this. If you can share a little bit about this based on your perspective, like what may be the future related to say, technology advancements in structural engineering?
Yeah. See, first of all, in totality, this technology advancement is something which is very important in any field. We used to, landline phones. Now we have switched to, mobiles. Landlines are obsolete. So it happens, in any form of engineering. Technology has changed the world like anything. Now, civil engineering is also going to face the same thing. We hear a lot of things about artificial intelligence. We have seen the buildings made up from 3D printing, which we never thought of. That, one day this kind of a 3D printing technology would come into picture. Artificial intelligence, yes, it can do wonders because it makes your structure to think as a human being. There's one other aspect which I see is, we have heard a lot of things about BMS. At present, a lot of buildings are designed with building management systems, which enhances the performance. It gives you the optimization of the services. It gives you it saves your energy bills. It rings the bell when the building requires maintenance. These are the technology which is going to revolutionize the field for sure. For structure, I see a lot of opportunity for structural SHM, structural health monitoring systems. For many of the important structures all over the world, they are in place. It can detect motion, it can detect corrosion, it can alarm you with, where is going to be a distress. You can definitely attend it well in advance. So thereby you are like, reducing your maintenance bills. You are also increasing your life of the structures because you know the problems well in advance. So I mean, this technology is going to change a lot of things. I mean, the technology which we have seen from material aspects also. Earlier we used to use M15, M20 grade. Now, using M80, M100 is also, I mean, there is nothing new. So the technology overall, in terms of the material, in terms of the computational technology, in terms of, relaying the information, in terms of capturing that data, analyzing those data, because that analyzing of those data is absolutely important. And I see a lot of these good things of SHM and everything come into picture in years to come, for sure, no doubt. At present, it is quite a costly affair. They are like, patented technology also in some of the cases. But depending on the need, definitely civil engineering or structural engineering is there to adopt and alter the way we think.
Yes. Yes, yeah. Thank you, Anil, for this. So now we have already extended for 1 hour and 30 minutes. So now still we have still many questions which on which we wanted discussion, and in a live chat also there are many things which are popping up. So should we continue forward, or we should have a similar kind of session maybe in the future when it is convenient to all?
I think you can take few questions probably, because the audience should also not feel that we are not addressing them.
Yeah, sure. Let us take a few questions from the audience. Okay, this is a kind of a question I'm just taking randomly. Like, I'm trying from last 3 years to get internship in structural engineering, but till date didn't get any opportunity. Yeah.
Can I address
Yeah,
on this
please,
issue?
definitely.
I think it is very sad to, first of all, very sad to even read this kind of, things that, someone who is ready for an internship is not getting an internship. Job, one can definitely understand that, okay, there may be a scarcity of job depending on the city where you live in. But in India, I mean, there are immense opportunities. I think if you are not getting internship in a suitable city where you are looking at, just forget about that city. Move on to another city, and just don't waste your time. If you have wasted your 3 years, I mean, you have wasted 10% of your career path. So, and you will lose, the contact. You will lose, people will feel that, why are you not getting accepted? So just better move on. I mean, be positive. Just, if X city is not meant for you, forget it. Select the city Y and move on. And you are most welcome to be in Gujarat for sure. I mean, ample opportunities.
Yes. Yeah, there is a message from SNV engineers. So he is complimenting Hiren bhai and Kamal bhai for supporting and guiding in many situations. Yeah. Again, there is a point like, okay, someone just posted in the group. Now I'm not able to collect it. That he is a geotechnical engineer, and now he wants to switch to the structural engineering field. So, is it feasible? That's the question he's asking. So, Suhas bhai, can
Yes,
you please? Yeah.
yes, feasible at any age.
Yes.
Like in foreign countries,
Yes.
people can shift their jobs, and uh, you should be passionate about your work. That is the very important.
Yes.
The changing branch should not be on basis of your liking or greed. You feel this is very lucrative, so you wanted to shift. That is not the case. If
Yes.
your inner characteristic supports this business, like all of us are saying that this is not business to make money. This is a
Yes.
noble business. If you are good enough for this, you are welcome. Means there is no age bar or no base bar. But you have to
Yes.
work hard for the prove yourself in the industry. Basically, there is
Yes.
no cut-off line of not
Right.
coming here at
Right.
any age.
Right. This question is like, what is the future of modular construction, like prefabricated, precast, volumetric construction in India? Do kindly let me know your point of view. Yes, Kamal bhai, can you share something on this?
As far as concerned with modular construction and the prefab structure now,
Hmm.
uh, at the planning stage itself, we have
Hmm.
observed that if it is well planned, well managed, then and then it enhances the required result. One more thing, what I have observed is cost-wise, the cost per square feet we observe is comparatively quite high. But besides this, for the small structures, for these small habitat buildings, I think it is advisable to go with the prefabricated one because it saves your time. It is well planned and well managed with the equipments and all other. It is possible to quickly make the assembling and all others. I think the future is definitely with the prefabricated one, but I think it is still in the developing stage. It will take few more years to practically implementing it.
Yeah, definitely. But there are plenty of opportunities in this field, modular construction. Right. Yeah. So the one more question is that is there any opportunity for development of software, design software in a structural engineering field? Yes, Hiren bhai.
I think if you are good at the both,
Yes.
in the software as well as the structural engineering field, then it is always a good opportunity. But many times,
Yes.
what we have seen that if you are good at the structural engineering, but you are not good at the software, and
Hmm.
if you are good at the software, but you are not good at the structural engineering. So both,
Yes.
if you have both the qualities, then definitely it is a good, great potential. I think. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes, Olavo, would you like to share your point of view?
Yeah, I would like to combine with this another note that is there. Why any Indian company is not involved in software development of structural design? I will
Yes.
tell you, STAD is a Indian software. Research Engineers was the one. If you take RCDC, it is developed by Nayak, who's a Indian. Planwin, which is by Prakash Bajaj. ETAP is designed by a Pakistani engineer who's in states. So lot of Indian softwares are there. Midas is being also worked by an Indian company, partially. But STAD is purely an Indian software. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes, so there are plenty of opportunity in this field also, as rightly pointed by Hiren bhai. If you are good at both the areas, then definitely there are good opportunities. Yeah, there are many comments in actually in the comment box. Okay, so there is one comment. I'll just take it up. Maybe last point. Like, can you suggest any good reference book, let us say for structural any analysis and design, which you might have referred?
I think there is a one good book by Shah and Karve. I think it is the best
Yes.
book that I have come
Yes.
across. It is the best
Yes.
book for the to
Mm.
learn from the basic to the advanced. I think by
Mm.
it's a structural publication Pune by Shah and Karve, Dr. Shah and Dr. Karve. I think. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, Suhas bhai, you want to add something?
If you want only one book, then go for codes only.
Yeah.
There is nothing like code because
Yeah.
every book is derived from the code, explaining code
Mm.
and everything. Means there is
Mm.
no such one book approach is necessary. in structural designing. You need to go for number of books, number
Yes.
of literature, number of seminars, number of new things. Means it is not should not. Yes, you can start from one thing, but it is not only one. Means you must be good in codes, and if you know codes, the books are also helping you to understand this. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Suhas bhai. Okay, this is a question from Akash. What is the scope of application and adoption of AI and big data analytics in structural engineering? So, Anil, we already touched upon this in a bit. So,
Yes,
if you
yes,
can give
yes,
very quick
yes.
insight. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, as I already pointed out, there is a huge opportunity as far as AI is concerned. All these technology advancements are going to change the way we are working as a structural engineer in years to come. For sure, in next 10 years, I see lot of instrumentation happening in buildings what we do. So yes, there is a huge opportunity. No doubt at present it is little bit cost prohibitive, but in years to come, definitely people will see the benefits of it and definitely will adopt it for sure.
Yes. Right. Okay. So, okay, still comments are coming up. Like, okay, so there are many questions, many comments. So I think we may continue maybe in a future. Again, we can organize this kind of session, right? Whenever time permits.
Right.
Okay, so any quick remarks from you before we close it, because we have now come to the closer of the session.
I would like to say that for the all these young engineers who are having the zeal to become an entrepreneur, just go for it. There is going to be ample opportunity in India because we are going to be a we are in a developing stage, and we are there to become a developed country. So there is going to be immense opportunity, no doubt. There will not be any shortcuts. There will be definitely a passion requirement and a very much of hard work which will be required to make a new India for all
Yes,
of us, for the generations to come rather.
yes,
There are a
yes,
lot of infrastructure related projects which are coming up, which will change the way Indians used to use roads. Indian used to use the airports. The small cities are coming up with the new airports. There are more and more waterways which are coming. We have never thought of ferries going from X to Y, which could transport the cars also, which we could see only in Europe. So now there are going to be ample opportunities. So let's go for it, and let's try to make a new India for the
yes,
new generations. They
right,
don't need to migrate somewhere. Let them
yes,
be in India only.
yes, yes. Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Any quick thoughts from any of you?
Believe in yourself,
Yes.
focus in the line, and you will do it.
Yes. Yes. Perfectly right.
Yes, always there is a lot of opportunities. Like as India is growing, we are using very less amount of steel and cement. Means the growth is depends on the consumption of per capita consumption of steel and cement. So it is increasing like anything. So this itself shows that our future is bright. And
Right.
as a lot of development, see, the previously the code was updated after 10, 15 years or much more. So the see the recurrence of means the iteration of developing the code. So we are accepting. Previously, India and other countries have 50 years gap. Means whatever technology we are using and the other countries are using have a 50 years gap. Now we are at par. Now what we are designing, what we are implementing is similar to the Middle East, European countries and the foreign countries. So we are at par. So our our country is very much developing. So there is no means all are welcome. Means people will be in scare as designers.
Right. 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 Yes, Kamal
I
bhai.
think I think the concrete technology started in the late 50s to 60s and all others, and with the reinforced concrete and all other, now we have learned. I think our generation has faced these issues, and now the new generations having our experience straight away forwarded to them, considering the strength aspect to the durability aspect. I think with the mm, one of the statistical data available with me, it also shows that safe and stable building livestock are decreasing because of certain structural retrofitting, repair, and other issues. So definitely, there is another field available to the new building structural engineers. And one more thing is with the high-rise structures to now the tall structures. Now the opportunity available with the relaxing with the FSI policies and all other. So definitely, these new buildings are coming up with the existing category with the redevelopment scheme and all other. So
Right.
definitely, new budding engineers, opportunity is there. Let's come out, join with us, share our responsibility to make this structure safe and stable for the future generation.
Yes.
Welcome.
On a lighter note, I would like to add that even for as a structural engineer, there is an opportunity to have a demolition structural engineer because there are lots and lots of building has to be demolished. So on a lighter note, if you are also having an opportunity as a to work as a demolition structural engineer.
It
Yes,
also
yes,
needs structural designers
Yeah, yeah,
knowledge to
yes.
demolish anything. Right,
Yeah,
right.
so there are ample opportunities, right? So okay, so once again, thank you all for participating in this unique live discussion, which was first of its kind. And we are very much thankful for all our panelists to spare their precious time on this Sunday morning. And definitely we will have this kind of session in the future whenever let's say time permits, and whenever we get a concurrent time where everyone is available. And we could see that in chat box still there are many interesting points, and even while
Yeah.
registering for the event, participants have raised many interesting points. There were those 800 points, so we will work out something in the future, like how we can take it forward. Okay, so thank you
Thank
all,
you.
and once again, uh,
Bye.
yeah,
Thanks.
okay, bye,
Thank you. Thank you.
bye,
Thank you all.
bye.
Bye.